Hi guys, so this is the 400 subscriber special. So thank you all very much for 400 subscribers. I'm going to read X-Men number 25. This was a request for me to do. So I haven't read an X-Men comic on the channel yet, so this is my first one. So Fatal Attractions, the death of a dream in the final battle. So Magneto's like pinning down Wolverine with his magnetism. And it's a spread out cover, so there's also Gambit, Rogue, Jean Grey, Quicksilver, and Professor. I think that's supposed to be Professor X. I've noticed. Well, actually, he's not standing. I can see his wheelchair. So, but yeah, I know spoilers in this story. But I won't talk of them. But they relate to Wolverine. But the cover relates to what actually happens in the comic in relation to Wolverine. But Fatal Attractions. The house is white, the office is oval. Okay? The man sitting behind the desk is afraid. He never expected to be the president who helped bring about the end of the world. But now he knows that very well may be the epitaph written for him in the history books, if anyone had a chance of surviving what is to come. So, the president's Bill Clinton. So I'll try to do. Boris, I'm sorry, I know it's late, but the United Nations Security Council just unanimously voted to initiate the alpha and beta parameters of the Magneto protocols. The square is red, the country is new. The man is rubbing the sleep out of his eyes, is afraid. He never expected to preside over one dramatic change in the way his country existed. Much less, too, when will the action be initiated? Translated from Russian, Bob. The cigar is Cuban, the armament is American, and though the attitude is pure, hard-edged steel, Nicholas Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., a man who has fought in 3 wars across 4 decades. This ain't gonna work, is it, Forge? Is very much afraid that he's preparing himself for the final battle of his life. Only one way to find. Sorry about that. So only one way to find out. In near-Earth space, in the shadow of the Terminator racing from day to night, a communications relay trips over from one meticulously aligned satellite to another. Systems which had remained silent for several years fire to life. Now this is going to be confusing because I don't know where I'm supposed to read this because there's 200 panels. Linking one floating century to the next until the entire planet is covered in a protective mesh of electromagnetic fire. The defensive actions taken by the citizens of the planet below do not go unnoticed by one who has placed himself so far above them, both by accident of birth and by dint of carefully crafted design. I warn them not to do this. Why do they seek to provoke me? What will it take for them to leave us alone, so we may forge our own utopia, removed from their petty, pathetic lives? The master of magnetism has taken notice, and Magneto is angry. My alkaloids, I did not grant you safe haven here in Avalon, in order to see you all slaughtered by the humans below. This attack cannot be ignored. For too long I have played a fruitless tete-a-tete with those humans in positions of power. I had always hoped that as administrations came and went, as figureheads changed, one day eventually, those who believed in the rights of mutants to exist free from persecution would attain power. It was, I know, a foolish hope, born of my desire to never become that which I despised in my younger days. A despot, a tyrant, a Hitler. Yes, there must come a time when even deaf ears must be made to listen, Lord Magnus. You are correct, Exodus. Indeed, that time has come, and gone long before we even sought refuge here among the heavens. It is time, then, for my actions to speak far more loudly than my words ever have. He leaves their haven, Avalon, built from the technologies of worlds long gone and those still to come, and soars along across the planet's electromagnetic field, disturbed by the eerie disruption caused by the energy wavelength mesh spanning the world below. Immediately he understands what the humans have done. The mesh has skewn the planet's EM field just enough to disrupt Magneto's mutant abilities within the parameters of Earth's atmosphere. He is safe here, far above the planet, but to go home again could very well mean death. In many ways he admires and appreciates the inventiveness of the human's gambit, but ultimately it is an affront he cannot abide, for it will disrupt his ability to recruit new converts to his flock. So Magneto concentrates on muttering a silent prayer to a god he no longer believes in, and cuts a swath across Earth's electromagnetic field, like a battle-forged blade through soft flesh. Manhattan, New York, 10 seconds after Magneto's detonation. What the? Reed, is that you messing around with another thermostat or something? Always when I'm taking the bubble bath, too. These events take place before FF number 374, Bob. Hey, power's not kicking back in. Is this for real, Stretcho? Too real, Ben, and appallingly frightening in its implications. We are completely blacked out. A pulse wave hit us, unlike any I have ever encountered before. It swept right over us, and it shows no signs of abating. Los Angeles, California, 2 minutes after detonation. Tokyo, Japan, 5 minutes after detonation. Boom. Shiro Yoshida, the mutant named Sunfire, sees the coming onslaught, but has no way to protect himself from it. The Kremlin, Moscow, 6 minutes after detonation. Braddock Manor, England, 8 minutes after detonation. Glabik, Blian, what happened to the power? I am not certain, Kirk, but the manor's secondary generators should fire up momentarily. Across the Atlantic Ocean, 11 minutes after detonation, the wave has come back full circle, washing back over the nation's capital with an almost mockingly gentle ease. The entire planet has been cast in its pall, and where there are no screams of panic and fear, a chilling blanket of silence covers the world. 3 minutes after detonation. Sean, let's fire it up. See if the Shi'ar technology can compensate for the AM pulse we were hit with. There you go, Hank. Wonderbar, we're back online. But methinks this telltale hush around across the board declares through incessant static crackle that we may be the only ones anywhere who have regained electronic capabilities. I'm afraid you might be right, boyo. This is really bad. Let's be on with it. We best tell Charles. Join Fabian Nicieza, a writer, Andy Kubert, penciler, Matt Ryan, inker, Bill Oakley, letterer, Joe Rosas, colorist, Bob Harris, editor, Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief, and proudly presenting the 25th issue of X-Men. So the relaunched X-Men, Dreams Fade. So there's like a shit ton of them. I'll try to, so the Psylocke, Bishop, and Gambit. There's Wolverine, Storm Jubilee, Jean Grey, Rogue, Banshee. I think that's more McTaggart, I don't know. Archangel, Iceman, I don't know who this is. Is it Polaris? I don't know. Cyclops, Beast, and then Professor X. So I think I don't know who this is, and I think that's Moira McTaggart. But I have called you all here because there is something I must tell you. It begins with an ending, and perhaps the breaking of a man's heart, this man's heart, the heart of Charles Xavier, as he faces his students, new and old, from the school of gifted youngsters. Among one old friend stand 14 mutants, born with fantastic powers that set them apart from the rest of humanity. They are the X-Men, and once again they must save a world which fears and shuns them. Dedicated to Stan and Jack, Roy and Neil, Len and Dave, Chris and John, to all those who have come before us and all those who will come in the next 30 years. Oh, obviously, my X-Men, we have a problem. Scott will brief you all. Thank you, Professor. Okay, guys, here goes. At 10:33 this morning, Eastern Standard Time, the United States Security Council voted to initiate the preliminary levels of defense in the Magneto protocols. The alpha and beta options of the protocols involve the activating of a defensive shield which spreads across the planet and prevents Magneto from using his powers within the boundaries of Earth's atmosphere. This is intended to protect humanity without the appearance of intended provocation. Work like a charm, eh, Cyclops? At 11:55 p.m., an electromagnetic explosion sent a pulse wave across the planet. In retaliating, Magneto has effectively rendered the mechanical and technological resources of this entire planet completely useless. We believe this is only a temporary condition, but even so, our scattered information leads us to expect that the pulse wave was terrifyingly devastating in its ferocity. Scott, how bad was it? We can't really know for certain, Rogue. We were only online because we have the advantage of the alien Shi'ar technology incorporated into our systems, which allows us to operate independently of the planet's EMF field wavelength. From the garbled static we have been able to piece together, we know it's bad. Really bad. Plane crashes, medical equipment failure. We fear maybe hundreds, maybe thousands have died.
Lord, this is insane. Why didn't he try to warn us or something?
Magneto would claim his entire life as being a warning. This was a vicious attack meant to wound, to devastate.
But if Magneto was able to do this, don't you think he could have just as easily wiped us all out?
Indeed. I know how difficult this is for you, how you feel about Magnus. But the fact that he did not kill us all should be viewed as a mistake on his part. And we have to make certain it is the last mistake he has the opportunity to make. What are you saying, Chuck? You know what I'm saying, Logan. We do not have the luxury of time, nor the occasion for nobility. At this point, we are not fighting for the philosophy of a cause, a hope, or a dream. We are fighting for our very survival. And if we do not fight to win, this planet will be irrevocably lost to us. Xavier's words hang heavily as the X-Men disperse and prepare for their mission. But 3 of his original students, who were all so young and innocent when they first came to live here, have come to a consensus about the retaliatory strike their teacher has planned. Guys, I don't like this one bit. Is it because, fearless leader, you consider it a plan which is strategically unsound, or because you weren't included in it? Neither, Hank, or maybe both. I just don't like the sound of whatever the professor has planned.
He's under a lot of strain, Scott, and I'm going with him. I won't allow anything to happen, or be a party to something which goes against everything we believe.
I know, Gene, but those beliefs seem so, I don't know, outmoded lately.
Do they, Scott? A little corny, maybe. I always strive to heal through the open hand, rather than hammer home solutions through the closed fist.
Show the world that only through respect for our genetic diversity that we can hope to come together. Be willing to fight for the beliefs against those, both human and mutant, who try to crush that dream. Maybe they don't sound so outmoded after all. Did it ever occur to you, and any of you, in all the years we've been together? Oh, so this is Professor X talking. That perhaps I was wrong?
Charles, you're walking!
Only, I assure you, through tremendous exertion. The Shi'ar exoskeleton operates on psionic energy, so every step I take is a giant leap for mutant kind. Cute, but Professor, what exactly do you think you're doing? I'm going to lead a strike force against Magnus, Hank.
Charles, I don't know where you've been hiding that exoskeleton. But even with it, well, that is...
What Jean's trying to say, sir, is that even with the ability to walk, you've never really been much of a battlefield operative. I would take a great insult to that, Scott, if I didn't agree with you, which is why I structured the assault team as a combination of skills and attributes, combining the best elements of stealth, subterfuge, and guile to infiltrate Magneto's base with telepathic prowess to attack him at his weakest point, his tortured soul, as well as speed, strength, and the strong desire to let settle unresolved emotional conflicts. And since you'll be inside a space station, we high-octane energy wielders don't come in too handy. But what about some of the others? Why not include more of your original students who fought this battle with Magneto almost as long as you? Because you don't expect to come back, do you, Charles? And you need us to stay down here. Or down here to stay. To carry on? If I had a choice, Scott Jean would stay also. Oh, but with all of my mental energy I am expending to operate this exoskeleton, I'll need her telepathic abilities to assist me as we execute my plans.
And what exactly is your plan, sir?
Yes, it is time. You deserve to know. Computer, boot up Magneto Maneuver number 14. B. Amended August 92.
Oh, my stars and garters. He does mean to put an end to this cycle of violence, once and for all.
He keeps telling himself that in essence it's just another job. Remy LeBeau is a thief at heart, and if rationalized properly, this is nothing more than a noble pinch. It just seems that the longer he stays with these people, the more he believes in their cause, and the harder it gets to simply rationalize the job. The truth of the matter is that, as Gambit well knows, he's fighting for the hope of an entire planet, and more importantly than ever to him, he's also fighting for the heart of the woman he loves.
Ready, Shea? I guess.
I know Magneto saved your life, Rogue, and even though I don't know what else went on between you two, we still gotta do this, you know. You know we do.
I'm just afraid, Remy. When push comes to shove, whose side am I gonna be on?
The side you always try to be on, the right side. The rest of us have been discussing this, and we feel you are taking an unnecessary risk, as well as placing the X-Men in an extremely hazardous position by going to battle Magneto with such a small contingent. If you consider suicide the only option left to you in this struggle, I would respect your decision, although in no way would I agree to it. But to ask it of the others, and not to ask it of us all, you took the words right out of her mouth. For my entire life I've fought for the sake of a dream, Aurora, and Magnus is the cause of what I believe is a nightmare. But what happens when the dream becomes a nightmare? At our last parting, one I had thought and fervently hoped would be our final one, Magnus said my will would break as I came to realize my quest to be a fool's hope. He was wrong. I have not been broken, but I have been hardened, as have some of you. I cannot allow that to continue. Dreams fade, dreamers come and go. But the hope which fuels the fires of our passion, our goal, must not die out. And I, for one, am not about to let it. All right then, enough with the speeches. I am afraid I've embarrassed myself. My X-Men, it is time. Computer, Activate Shiar secondary command programming link. Option Nera Mani Omega. Commence Avalon Systems override sequence. Z101000. Avalon Systems access defense scrambling. Grid override teleportation sequence activated. Come, why are you holding back? Why are you pitying in vain? Why is it that you do not hate a god, whom the gods hate most of all? Why is it that you do not betray him, since it was your honor he betrayed to men? Our kinship has strange power, that art and our life together. Shakespeare? What is that word? Achilles, Prometheus Unbound. Greek tragedies, Hank? Unfortunately, it would seem apropos slim. The gates of heaven open, unable to prevent the serpents from entering onto its hallowed halls, which rings rather ironic considering that the supposed paradise is presided over by a man haunted by the devils of his own scarred life, and those now rising from the hell that earth has become, come as dark angels seeking to cleanse, to redeem. We're in. The coast is clear. We best be prudent, Wolverine. There's no telling what kind of security systems Magnus has in place. Internal security sensor override activated. Paragenetic biosignatures of intruders, no longer registering as anomalous presence as per override command. Check. Swoosh. How goes the security watch, Nikolaevich? Has there been any retaliatory activity on Earth? On Earth? No, Jivits. Not on Earth. They justly fear our Lord's wrath. And the shame of it is, Katu, that your Lord has most certainly given them reason to. So much of this material is Shi'ar in origin, stolen from us, no doubt, while I entrusted Magnus as headmaster of my school. My father has always done a very... Actually, Quicksilver's European, so I'm kind of used to him sounding American, but he and Scarlet Witch are from Europe, so my father has always done a very good job of using the hard work of others against them, Xavier. But what has he ever given anyone which has sprung from his own creativity, other than the cold, bitter taste of his power and the bleak outlook of his vision? You know, if we survive this, I'm gonna teach all of you how to become better quieter thieves. If it's the last thing I do, then again, look who's calling the kettle black. Who's there? Avon calling. How about make some makeup to cover up that black eye? What black eye? The one you're gonna have for sure if you don't give up right now, boy. Easy, Gambit. I know these two Rusty Collins and Skids. Cannonball told us they'd agree to stay up here after they were freed from Strafe's mind control. So there's a lot of storylines going on, but yeah, I'm not familiar with some of these. I think these Rusty Collins, they might be new mutant. I know Cannonball's a new mutant. But that's so, Gene. How do we know they ain't being freed from one brainwashing? Just have Magneto play games with their heads all over again. We're here by choice, Wolverine. For the first time since we met all of you, we feel what we can achieve, the dream you X-Men keep preaching about. Rusty, how? By separating yourselves from the very people who have to learn to accept us before peace will ever occur? I'm sorry, children, but we simply do not have the time to debate the matter. Charles, you forced them to fall asleep? I scanned their minds, Jean. I could not determine if they were acting of their own free will or not. So you acted for them. How unlike what Magneto or Strife did to them. Pietro, you know what to do. I remain in mental contact with you as you go.
Be wary of the alkaloids who roam the corridors, Pietro. Xavier, considering the mood I've been in since the incidents at Camp Hayden and my first encounter with these demented disciples of my father, it is they who had best be afraid of me. Whoosh! The disc is loaded. Whoosh! Although I still do not fully understand how placing a pre-programmed disc in one terminal will help us. The base must have hundreds of input outlets. That it does, Quickie. But we plugged into the one with a direct route to the main control board. This is just like our system at home, gang. Piece of cake. Almost too easy, isn't it?
You suspect an ambush, Genie?
Just the opposite, Logan. I think we've ambushed them, and they don't even know it, which makes the simplicity of this mission very frightening to me. Wouldn't you agree, Professor?
Actually, Gene, I'm quite satisfied with our progress. Computer, locate genetic signatures of all occupants aboard the station. We are blind to
There they are. How come we ain't showing?
We are blind to Avalon's sensors, Rogue. We had the benefit of some inside assistance. Computer, engage procedure override 2-1 Alpha Z0.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, crud. My lord! The teleportation systems have been activated. By whom? Teleport transmission completed. Seal the airlock hatches and jettison airlock pods for stationary orbit. 500-meter distance. Acknowledged. What is going on? That eliminates any miscellaneous opposition. I blame none of them for this, though. For we all know Magneto has... Fortune! Has what, Charles? Offered them a better option than any of you could ever hope to. For that is all I have done. I have offered them hope and truth, opportunity and accomplishment. And I will do so for all mutants who I deem worthy. And I will not let your X-Men stop me again!
Ouch, ouch, ouch. Well, here goes the one thing we didn't want. A full-on head-to-head with the big guy.
The plan was to come with and nail him when he wasn't ready. So the plan's been changed a little, darling. All that means is we improvise. Ah, Logan, we dance the dance again and again. And you've never learned the steps very well, have you?
Shh! Magnus, wait! Don't you see? This time, you've gone too far. People are dead down on Earth because of you. You swore that this will never happen again. Ugh.
I was mistaken. That is the price they must pay, Rogue.
Pay for what? Pay for simply being human? Simply for being alive?
Gene, don't waste your energies in so futile a manner. Let the others occupy him. We must concentrate, as we discussed, on defeating him from the inside, from within his mind.
But they have no chance without us, Professor.
Their role is to provide the chance we need, not the opposite. Psi-link with my mind, Gene. I cannot break through Magnus's psychic defenses alone. I need you, to strike at his very core, with the expectation that, at the root of his goals and obsessions, Magneto's life is built on a fragile sense of failure, that deep down inside Magnus must know that his way is utterly, utterly wrong.
But, Professor, this is wrong. It goes against everything you ever taught me.
Wonderful, Gene. What do you suggest? We scold him and that be the end of that? Phew. Frack. Now, Gene, Gambit's provided us with the opportunity we needed.
We're in, Charles. Inside his mind. But he's fighting us.
He's fighting himself, Gene. Fighting his past. And we can use that inner turmoil against him. What? No. Oh, Charles, how far you've fallen. How very far.
I know Magneto's from, Poland originally.
but I don't know how to do that accent. I don't want everybody to sound like Doctor Doom. Because I think if I do if I try to do an accent, he just ends up sounding like Doctor Doom. So I'm just gonna make him sound like British, sort of like he did in the movies. But make him feel the pain of losing his family, his loved ones, again, in all its intensity. Charles, I can't do this. It's wrong. We have to, Jean. As distasteful as it is, we have to. Enough! You surprise me, Charles. I thought such manipulations abhorrent to you. You ask me, X-Men, why do I do what I do? And I ask in return, how can you not? You see it in my mind, Xavier. How can you allow our race to be systematically exterminated by Homo sapiens, and so many innocents were by the Nazi butchers? Whoosh, whoosh. Well then, Buckethead, sounds like killing everybody's who don't agree with your point of view. Sure don't make you any better than they were, huh? Makes you silence, X-Man! Ugh!
Remy, you heard him. And because you know he was right, Magnus, you just couldn't face it, could you? Sure, there's been a mighty fine line between the road we walk and yours. And the difference between us, sugar, is simply as right and wrong. And it's going to war with humans, killing them. Maybe because maybe they feel the same way about you don't make it right. And that's a belief we're willing to die for. Or fight and die for.
Charles, we're at the gravesite of Doug Ramsey, the young New Mutant who died while Magnus was headmaster of the school. It hurt him deeply, Charles. His feelings, his grief, were genuine. Is this right? To bring these memories out, to use them in this way? What, Charles? What are you doing? Whatever it takes to defeat you, Father. Or whatever it takes to defeat you, Father. And in this madness. Pietro, out of all of them, you have the audacity to confront me? Oh, my son, how sharper than a serpent's tooth is your betrayal. Time and time again, upon learning you and your sister Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, were my children, the children of my beloved lost Magna, you have been offered the opportunity to stand by my side, as was your right, as would have been my joy. And what a wonderful father you would have made, Magnus, forcing your children to sit subservient to your whims, unable to even think for themselves, as you looked onto the iron in their bloodstreams and molded their very thoughts. We missed out on so much by losing your parental guidance, didn't we? Professor, this memory, it didn't happen this way. When Magnus's wife Magda left him, she was pregnant with Wanda and Pietro, and it was the first time he had used his powers in front of her. He wasn't Magneto then, simply Eric Magnus Lyncher. Charles, if his memories are twisting, fracturing, his current life imposing itself on his past, then that means... It means, Jean, that we are forcing him to question his own judgment at last. What? Very devious, Charles, but in the face of your subversion, your befouling of my mind, I stand resolute. No, Father, you do not. Look at me. Look at what I have become because of you. Unable to love freely, unable to trust willingly, unable to live a life with my wife, my daughter. I am tired of running away from my problems. I am tired of running away from you. Crack. Perhaps I did wrong by you and your sister Pietro, but I loved your mother more than life itself, and I do not need you to blame me for things I so freely blame myself. But consider this, you have done equally wrong by me as well, my son. By rejecting my offer, you reject my hopes, my dreams, my chance to pass along an inheritance of mutant freedom onto you and my descendants. And I cannot allow you to do that, Pietro. There is too much at stake for our people to allow the son of the Overlord to reject his path. I cannot have my only son
Leave the paradise I hope to create here, to try to see him try to compromise my efforts on earth below us. I cannot allow you but to betray me, Pietro, to become my Judas. And so, as painful as it is for me, you must be sacrificed for the greater good of our people. My son must be slain. Sorry, Maggie. That just ain't gonna happen. Wolverine, no! Jean, you must seize on this. It is the key. Magnus's feeling that his children always betray him, always fail him. From Pietro to Wanda, down to Fabian Cortez, who gathered the alkaloids of Magneto, only to use them in his grander scheme to betray Magneto and kill him. Hesitating again, Mags. Big mistake. 'Cause here's where I show you how well I learned our little dance. Shirk. Oh, Logan. You have done this? The game's over, bub. Any man who tried to kill his own son deserves no less. Don't look so surprised after all. Ain't it what you would have done? Logan, no! Jean, you severed the mind probe. I need you, Jean. My control over this armor is taxing me greatly. Now, while he's gravely injured, is our best hope of piercing the final barriers in Magneto's mind. Professor, what's happened to you? Look at him, he's bleeding badly. He survived worse. It's in our power to put a peaceful end to this right now. Power is nothing, Jean. You have it, I have it. What matters most are the choices we make, and how that power is used. And Magnus has made his choice abundantly clear. Ask the men on the Leningrad, the people who died today. Ask them all. A peaceful solution was lost to us long, long ago. We must enter his mind again, quickly before... No more, Logan. Foolish man. It ends for us both now. Our long association. My most visceral enemy. My most respected foe. Is over! The magnetic fire courses through Wolverine's body, and it begins with a small tug, an almost gentle pull. What the? A harder yank. Splish! Then a wrenching tear. Logan! Oh, Lord Logan! No, Magnus! For the love of God, don't do this! Now play the insolent now. Plunders the gods' privileges and gives them to the creatures of a day. What drop of your sufferings can mortals spare you? We are all but bit players in a tragedy far larger than any of us. A tragedy called life, Logan. But today, for you perhaps for me, the curtain falls, and the play is finished. That's what he... Wolverine doesn't scream. Indeed, he doesn't have time, as the adamantium which long ago was bonded to his very bones is destabilized on a molecular level, ripping from its moorings and forced through his open wounds, erupting outward like water bursting through a dam. As he falls, the stillness of pure horror surrounds the killing ground, broken only by the voice of one person who has, since the day she first met him, and perhaps always will, love him. Logan! Oh, Lord, is he? He's still breathing. Stubborn to the last, eh? Heck, what of you, Charles? Look, what is your part in this fool's folly? Oof. Mine is the denouement, old friend. I have hidden behind our philosophical differences for too long, always willing to forgive you for your transgressions. I can no longer do that. You have shown an inability to change your ways, and I an unwilling decision. You know what? I think my Professor X sounds too much like Magneto. So I'm gonna change his voice. I'm gonna make him sound like he did in the X-Men cartoon. He had like kind of like a squeaky voice. So I'll do that for Professor X. And I am unwillingness to make the hard decisions. Maybe in our own ways we are both failures, Magnus. You for failing to rise above the horrors perpetrated on you in your past. And as for me, maybe I have failed as well, denying the need to stop such horrors, no matter what the cost.
Charles, Logan is still alive, just barely. I'm telekinetically keeping his body together, and telepathically preventing his mind from understanding how much damage was done to him. But we have to leave now.
Hear that, Charles? A life needs saving. Such has always been your bailiwick, your clarion call. Billions of lives need saving, Magnus. We came here today to sacrifice our own, so that those lives may be saved from your misguided wrath. By what right do you make such decisions, Charles? By what right do the choices you make for the lives of Homo sapiens and superior alike make you any less misguided than I? It all boils down, finally, no matter how alike we are, to the fundamental difference in our views, Magnus. Mine is a dream to live in harmony with those who fear and despise us, to make them see the error of their ways. No matter the hardships we must endure, the sacrifices we must make to achieve that goal. And yours, quite simply, demands that we rule over those who would oppose us, no matter the cost of suffering and degradation. The difference between us is that of light and dark, love and hate, life and death. No more, Magnus! No more! Logan shall be the last. No one else shall suffer. You have caused the deaths of hundreds today, Magnus. Deaths that I could have prevented had I stopped you years ago. You have killed too many, Magnus, and I have had enough. I will make sure, here, now, once and for all, that you will never kill again. Thwomp. Charles, I never thought you would. Thwomp.
No! Magnus! Professor, what have you done to him?
I took away his greatest weapons. His hatred, his ego, his nightmares. I took them all. I took his mind away from him. God forgive me.
Jean, he's barely breathing. Oh, Lord, I can't do anything about it right now. I'm barely able to keep Logan's body from falling apart as it is. We have to get out of here. We gotta get back to the mansion. The Professor Wolverine, even the Magneto need our help. We can teleport back, right? Can't we leave now?
You will not be able to teleport back home, Rogue.
Peter?
Your battle has taken most of Avalon's systems offline. I have sent a signal to the mansion. Bishop is coming in a modified Blackbird. For the sake of Logan and even the Professor, I recommend you leave quickly, as soon as he arrives.
Petey, what about Magnus? What about you?
I'm staying, Rogue. Magneto has been left in a vegetative state. He will need someone to care for him. What I could not do for my sister Iliana, perhaps I can do for him. That will be in many ways a most fitting penance for my role in this sad affair. I prevented Avalon's security systems from detecting you. My indiscretions allowed all of you free reign of the station. I am in many ways as responsible for this as Magneto is, or as are any of you.
Peter, you can't stay here. This whole place, its reason for being here. You know they're not right.
Maybe I do, Jean. Or maybe I'm simply not sure what is right and wrong mean anymore. In light of what has happened here today, can any of you be so certain in the choices you make? Perhaps Peter Nikolaievich. I thought it was Peter Rasputin. That was his name. Perhaps Peter Nikolaievich, none of us were so certain. But does that in any way make them any less difficult or any less important? No matter the consequences, no matter the pain, doing the right thing will always carry a heavy burden. They leave this heaven, a shattered place, leaving behind one of their own and perhaps a part of their innocence. And Peter Nikolaievich Rasputin finds he has no tears to shed for them,
for Magneto, Illyana, or himself. And in the silence, one can almost hear the fading of a dream. The story continues in Wolverine number 75 as X-Men face a stunning loss, and next month you must read Avengers number 368 before joining us here as Blood Ties, the X-Men / Avengers crossover begins. So I've got like a million other comics, but I really enjoyed this comic, but I can't read the other two here because I have so many comics. It's not even funny. It's probably gonna take me 50 years to get to that. But um, anyways, so yeah, I don't. Yeah, so thank you all for 400 subscribers. Yeah, my voice is almost gone. Um, I tried like fake screaming in the thing, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. Um, thank you for watching. Yeah, again, thank you for 400 subscribers, and I'll see you guys later.